Towson, Baltimore this weekend, and all I want for my birthday is to be 4-2. The Ravens win out in Oakland. They return home to take on the Chicago Bears. We watched play on Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings. I thought that game was very interesting because it's a little bit of a preview of the next 2 weeks as the Ravens will head out to the Twin Cities next weekend. And Rich Campbell's going to join us right now. He watched both teams in living color in downtown Chicago, Illinois, where I think the Cubbies were a bigger story on Monday night. He covers the Bears for the Chicago Tribune and for 670 The Score. You can follow his journey out on Twitter at Rich_Campbell. And, hey, what's going on, man? I hope that we don't have any storms blowing through, making all the media run away from the glass in the press box in Baltimore. You guys were not so hospitable to us 4 years ago, were you?
Dude, that was a serious thing. There were tornadoes all over the state that day. You remember that? It was overtime. Bears win.
Dude, the only reason I'm even bringing it up, honestly, is I'm on your Twitter, and you have a picture, a beautiful picture from the press box in the stadium where we saw all of those people get trapped in the upper deck, all those bolts of lighting. So I saw the picture, and all I can think about is that day. I've been in that stadium a handful of times, but that was freaky deaky last time these two teams got together.
In that picture that you're referring to on my Twitter, the air temperature outside at that point was like 6 degrees. That was last December against the Packers. So,
I see all the snow in the stands there. Well, I mean, it's Chicago. I mean, that's why I didn't live there. That's why I only visited Northbrook. I didn't get stuck there. But you're stuck on this beat here, and I'll tell you what, I watched Monday night. That looked like a good team, man. And I think Trubisky might be able to play. I don't know if Fox is going to be able to survive all this, but, boy, they look like they're going to have a hard time counting to like 4 or 5 this year. Right, Rich?
Yeah, exactly. And I picked them to go 5-11 preseason. I'm sticking with that, even though I think they'd have to improve their pace at this point, being 1-4. But for everything that surrounds the quarterback change, and that was the huge storyline ever since they drafted Trubisky second overall, you still saw on Monday night the penalties, the self-inflicted wounds. These continue to happen. It was 8 flags for 55 yards on Monday against the Vikings. And
well, the Wheaton was brutal, right? And then he doesn't have any productivity on the other side, which is, infuriating. We have Perryman here. Dude, I saw Amari Cooper, last week in Oakland. I mean, wide receiver in this league, it's tough, isn't it?
Well, and to mention Cooper, I mean, the Bears selected a receiver in the top 10 of that draft. When Cooper was out, they took Kevin White. Well, Kevin White is on injured reserve now with a broken shoulder blade. Third time in 3 seasons he's been on injured reserve. He's played only 5 games in his career in 3 seasons. So the Bears are stuck at receiver, and it goes into this bigger picture of a flawed passing game. They should have a strength running the ball. That was not the case against the Vikings. They only managed 3.6 yards per carry as teams are figuring this out. They're bringing down a lot of players into the box, forcing the Bears to throw. And as you saw Monday, Mitch Trubisky, 2 turnovers, including a killer pick, backed up in his end in the fourth quarter of a tie game, and the game got away from the Bears there. So there's inexperience, there's general sloppiness, and there's just not enough playmakers to get this team back into contention.
Bro, I was watching your guy run around there, youngster. We're going to see start 2 this week. Then I'm watching Case Keenum, who, by the way, came out of a freaking tree and beat our asses in Houston a couple years ago. We get him next week, probably. Sam Bradford, whatever that'll be. And then after that, we get your boy Cutler from Miami coming in. As a Ravens fan, the last 2 weeks after London were morose, and not just because of the death of my cat, the football team looked moribund. Especially against the Steelers where they couldn't get up. They go out to Oakland and they breathe new air into the season here at 3-2. And after watching the Bears and the Vikings on Monday night, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the Ravens can at least play with these teams the next couple of weeks, and somehow, some way, this team could wind up being 6-2.
Yeah, I think you're right in seeing the flaws in this bunch, and you look at the Bears, and the Ravens will be a touchdown favorite. I think that's what they already are, and then you saw the Vikings with their quarterback problems. I tweeted out at halftime on Monday, let's see if Case Keenum can transform the Vikings offense, and you say something like that, and you think, what? Who thinks that? But that's exactly what happened. He at least gave the Vikings passing game a little bit of a spark because of his mobility. I think you would expect the Ravens to have a really sound game plan. Just seems to be what they do defensively. And I don't think either of those 3 teams should scare the Ravens.
Well, I think from a drama standpoint, Rich, the Bears come in here at 1-4. The Fox era is at least teetering at this point, and you'll be the guy covering that. But just from a football standpoint, this decision to go with Glennon, this decision to draft Trubisky, the decision to sit him around until the season's already kind of sort of gone already. Some thoughts about that, because you've been opining, you've been writing about this during training camp. Certainly the day they signed Glennon and gave him the money, letting Cutler go away with his naked posterior out on the ocean deck, and now he's running around with the Dolphins. It's been a weird time, and I think the coach is going to be the one that gets sacrificed in all of this. I think Trubisky's going to be here a while.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic, and by interesting, you could interpret that as warped, maybe disjointed a little bit. And you have to zoom way out and consider what the Bears endured in 8 seasons under Jay Cutler. 1 playoff victory. And Cutler lost as many games as he won as a Bear. That's over 8 seasons. That's not a small sample size. The jury was back in on Jay, and that was that he was physically capable of making some really good plays. And if you let him play long enough, he'd kill you with the turnovers. And ultimately, plus his personality, some of the social misgivings there, that he's really just not the guy that energized people around him. I understood why general manager Ryan Pace wanted to take multiple swings at quarterbacks he felt had upside. So they signed Glennon, gave him $18.5 million guaranteed.
Say that twice, because that's just a lot of money, dude. I mean, whoo, right?
Yeah. Now they could have signed a player like, let's say, Brian Hoyer, who was in the organization last year. Maybe you re-sign him for a third of that. But they evaluated Glennon as having upside. They wanted to take a swing at maybe a guy who hadn't tapped into all his potential. Well, Glennon, outperformed the expectations in a negative way, and they pulled the plug on that after 4 games, and it was an admission of a misevaluation. They got that wrong, and they got it disastrously wrong. So that's a big stain on the general manager's resume. But I will say, if Trubisky is the guy that they believe he will be, then all will be forgiven. If he's that franchise quarterback, that eraser, that guy who makes up for every other shortcoming on your roster, the Bears get a look at one twice a year in Aaron Rodgers, then it'll be okay. And what the Ravens fans this weekend are going to see is just the starting point here. Monday night was really game 1, obviously, and now it's the starting point continuing. Can he continue to understand NFL windows and understand what throws he can fit through? Operationally, can they be sharp? It's a long way to go, but I'm with you. The GM is operating on a little bit of a different timeline than the head coach, who was 10-27 in 2+ seasons.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of drama around here. We go through the let's fire Ozzie and, let's blow everything out and how's Harbaugh doing, and we haven't made the playoffs in 3 out of 4 years. And, we go through all that around here, but we don't have that sort of swinging gate and that revolving door. And I know you've only been on the beat 5 years, but certainly, the last 15, 20 years in Chicago, it's been a little bit of a turnstile there because winning has been difficult. They got to the Super Bowl, didn't have the right quarterback at that point. But by and large, it definitely feels to me like we're going to be talking about the end of John Fox here 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks from now when they're 2-8 or 3-9, whatever it's going to be, because it's pretty clear that they're going to really start. I don't even know what the game plan would be to come in here and beat the Ravens this week. A lot of things would have to go right for the Bears, I think, right?
Yeah, and you look at Fox, the Bears have been in the Hallis family, the McCaskey family since the beginning. So this is a long track record. It's almost 100 years. 3 coaches in franchise history have had 3 consecutive losing seasons. None of them came back for another year. Fox is working on 10-27. I mean, 6 wins, 3 wins. This year they're on pace for 4 or 5 wins. So they are not showing the type of progress that you would think needs to be shown in a rebuild to get that forward. And then with the franchise quarterback, do you go out and hire an offensive coach to really try to jumpstart that development, kind of like the Rams did with Sean McVay and Jared Goff? That's a little bit ahead of us. I mean, there's 11 games to go still. And as you look at the Ravens, I mean, look, the Bears are going to try to stick to what they do well, at least theoretically, which is run it. They've got Jordan Howard, Tariq Cohen. As I said, they didn't get off against the Vikings. Teams are wise to it. They stack the box. They try to make the Bears win in the passing game. They don't have the receivers to get separation or to consistently win. So it's a real fight. This defense doesn't get takeaways either, so they're deficient in turnover margin, it seems like, every week, and it's just not a winning formula.
He is Rich Campbell. He covers all things the Bears for the Chicago Tribune, as well as 670 The Score in Chicago. You can find him at Rich_Campbell, as well as a very sunny yet frigid version of Soldier Field, which I call the spaceship that landed in downtown Chicago, because that's kind of what it looks like. It's better for concerts than it is for football games, I think, right?
No question. And I would say that about the press box as well. That is one thing I'm looking forward to being back at M&T Bank Stadium on Sunday, is best press box in the league.
Well, we do have a nice view. It depends if we're winning or losing. I'll let you know, or,
sure,
or kneeling or booing or any of the other crazy things that go on here. You know, when you're writing about the team in the offseason and trying to somehow, some way, sell your readers and Bears fans that somehow, some way, maybe this team could get north of 8 or 9 or 10 wins, that maybe there's prosperity along the way. I think the only thing you had was, well, front seven defensively, and they will run the ball. I don't know about – I mean, certainly offensively, they will run the ball, or they'll try to run the ball, as you've pointed out. That really hasn't worked out well, and quite frankly, I think most defenses would want to dare Trubisky to throw a pass, especially after seeing the game film on him from late Monday night, right?
Yeah, no question. And you could go back to the 4 preseason games that the Bears played, and it was very clear what that formula was going to be. It was going to be run the ball offensively, stop the run defensively, and maybe get some game management from your quarterback, something to stay at least with the chains moving, nothing spectacular. The receiver injuries started to pile up, and they were already depleted there. I know the Ravens fans will not want to hear any type of complaining about receiver quality, that there is no sympathy there, but that's it. That's the formula for the Bears, and yet they still have not really been able to realize it consistently. The Steelers, which is the Bears' only win, they came in with a terrible defensive game plan, played 2 high safeties all game, and the Bears ran all over them. It made no sense why the Steelers would stay as backed off the line of scrimmage as they did, considering all the limitations of the Bears' passing game. So I think the formula is very clear for Baltimore. You're going to stack the box. You're going to challenge Mitch Trubisky to make throws that he might not be comfortable making. I don't think the Bears receivers are going to get separation in the Ravens secondary. And there should be some chances for turnovers for the Ravens. I mean, it's not a team, the Bears, that are built to play from behind either. You got to run and stop the run. Well, that's not a good formula when you're playing from behind, and they've been behind way too often this year.
He is Rich Campbell. He's in Chicago. He's doing all things Bears, but he has also been stuck watching the rest of that division in the NFC North. We're going to see you guys this week. Then we get Minnesota. Detroit's coming in here in a couple of weeks in November, and then we have a late trip to Green Bay Thanksgiving week to go up there and play all of these teams. Clearly, Green Bay looks to be formidable. I'm not sure about the Lions, and certainly watching the Vikings, I don't want to say we're licking our chops to go on a road trip, because we haven't played all that well on the road, Oakland notwithstanding last weekend. But it does feel like the division's down a little bit here, and maybe the Lions aren't all they thought they were going to be, right?
Yeah, the Lions are sort of the wild card here. I mean, the Vikings have had injuries just set in at quarterback and running back with Bradford and Teddy Bridgewater and Dalvin Cook out. So that's a team that's going to rely on its defense, and they've got Pro Bowlers at all 3 levels. If you watch the Bears game on Monday night, you saw the impact that they made. Pro Bowlers accounted for 2 turnovers in that game, and that was 6 points. That was the difference in a 3-point game. But you look at the Lions, and just not necessarily a passing game that threatens you a ton. They had Kenny Golladay, who's a rookie that had an impressive preseason and a beginning to his career, who has been hurt. And Stafford is a different quarterback at times on the road, one of those guys that just lacks the consistency to match the flash and some of the sharpness you'll see from him at times. But Detroit's a tough place to play, and the Ravens don't have to go there. But that is, just from an NFC North perspective, that could be tough. They've a good defense with some players that will rush the passer and a capable secondary. They'll be competitive. And then Green Bay that's the top dog. It's just like chasing the Patriots in the AFC because of Aaron Rodgers. And anybody who saw that game against Dallas on Sunday knows what Rodgers is capable of. Just always gives his team a chance to win. They're never out of a game, and he's a special player. That's why the Bears took those multiple swings at quarterback, because they know they're chasing that guy, and they need to try to level the playing field a little bit.
Who is the Bears' best player? Is it Hicks and then everybody else at this point? Or, I mean, obviously, Pernell McPhee got some big bucks to go over there, and I know he's had some knee problems. It looked to me like Leonard Floyd was getting around pretty good on Monday night. But, I don't watch them play enough, and I haven't been as impressed with Hicks because I don't watch him play week to week on, quite frankly, a bad football team, right?
Yeah, it is a really short list of difference-making playmakers for the Bears, and that goes for both sides of the ball. Their best player eventually better be Mitch Trubisky, but into his NFL career by 5 weeks, it's not. And Hicks is the guy. Don't knock yourself too much, Nestor. You're on point there. You saw Hicks last night or Monday night, 2 sacks, bull rushing when he wants to get to the quarterback. He basically just makes up his mind, keeps his pad level low, extends his arms, and he can drive anybody back, and he's a real monster. He's 330 pounds, 6'6", moves really well. He penetrates against the run. He's an every down tackle in their 3-4 front, which switches to a 4-man front in the sub package. He's their guy. They got to get more out of Leonard Floyd, who you mentioned. He also had 2 sacks on Monday night, both early in that game. One was a safety. That's the 9th overall pick from 2 years ago. They need him to be an absolute stud. Again, consistency is an issue with him. They've got to get those guys more consistent, and then they need more of those guys.
He is Rich Campbell. You can follow him at Rich_Campbell, as well as at the Chicago Tribune as the Bears come to town this weekend. No tourist crab cakes for you this week. Last thing for you, make the case for the Bears to come in and steal this game as a touchdown underdog this week. What has to go right for them?
Well, they've got to get turnovers, and the Bears are working on a streak right now. 162 passes against them without an interception. They are getting really close to the franchise record. I think it's maybe 10 passes. So Joe Flacco could put them over the hump by the first quarter. So the Bears are going to have to generate some turnovers. That comes with pass rush. That comes from playing with a lead. Can they get a lead? Can they make a play on special teams? Maybe that. Trubisky's going to have to protect the ball, and they're going to have to run it. I think that's just too many components for a Ravens team that's functional, that has an experienced quarterback, and a defense that I think a lot of teams would like to have.
Hey, man, we'll see you this weekend, and appreciate your time and helping us out with some Bears information, getting our fans ready for the game. We're going to send everybody out to Rich_Campbell, as well as the Chicago Tribune out there. Stay warm this winter, Rich. I know about the Chicago winters out there.
I appreciate it, man. Always look forward to getting home to my home state of Maryland, so I can't wait to get back.
Where are you from? Where's home state?
I'm from Gaithersburg.
So you're a Redskin guy?
I grew up a Redskin guy, yes.
Well, at least you passed on. You got the hell out of here. You know what I mean? Before,
but I'm an Orioles guy all the way through. I've been to opening day every year since I moved to Chicago, and that will not stop anytime soon.
Well, probably neither will the pain. I've seen I've seen the owners work here for 25 years. So you want to say anything about the Orioles now that I found out you're an Orioles fan closet? Hey, you know what? Didn't I talk to you about the Orioles one time at an owners meeting because you had like a Terps?
I think we did.
Didn't you have like a Terps like phone cover or something like that?
I'm holding that very cover right now. It's
okay, so that's how I know. I knew you, but now we're talking that. Now you're talking my language. If you want to bitch about the Orioles, step into my office, Rich. You know.
Well, how long do you have to talk about a pitching rotation? I mean,
well, I've been talking about it for 26 years on the radio.
Well, that's the thing. And
Messina's only been gone 16 years, right? When they gave him away. So, Rich. Now that I know you're an Oriole fan, I'm going to send you a free copy of the Peter Principle so you can read up on the history of pain. So,
I've lived it, and I would love to read more about it from another perspective because it's brutal just living right down the street from Wrigley Field and having to sit out this postseason after making 3 of the last 5 on the Orioles side.
Well, at least your town had a parade of some kind. You know what I mean? We only have parades around here for football games. That's all we do. So
that's true, and the Chicago's had a few in different sports recently.
Hey, man, it's great to visit with you. I will be calling the minute the Terps beat anybody decent in the Big Ten. How about that?
I am going to the Northwestern game on Saturday. I'm making sure to get in early and going to see the Terps. It's been a while since I've been to College Park, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, the good news, it's not Ohio State or Michigan or Penn State. So you picked a good weekend, or at least Roger Goodell did, to schedule the Bears here. So enjoy yourself down there at the VU or any of the places that used to be there that aren't anymore. That it dates me, dude. I turned 49 on Saturday, so hanging out on the college campuses would probably make me a little freaky. So.
Yeah, you can still have a good time, though. You know how to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you never forget that. Once in town, always. Rich, enjoy College Park. Thanks for visiting with us, man.
Thanks, Nestor.
You got it, brother. Rich Campbell. He is Rich_Campbell of Gaithersburg. Redskins fan. I'm not going to hold that against him. Orioles fan, I'm not going to hold that against him either. You can find him out at the Chicago Tribune at 670 The Score as well. You can find me in the buyatoyota.com audio vault from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. The morning newspaper directly to your email inbox. It ships digitally at 7. Sometimes it's 7:01. Depends if your name begins with an A or like a W, probably alphabetically. But right around 7:01, you'll get it every morning. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. And of course, it's always $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. And our morning newspaper is always free because of Planet Fitness. Last but never least, our breaking news service is also free. It's text, it's easy, it's one stop, and you're on forever. Always breaking news, guaranteed, never spam. It's always brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And of course, Dennis Kolatzis will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, mainly giving you a break from me, although I will appear at some point to preview Bears and Ravens and LCS baseball activity, of which the Orioles will not be a part of this year. But I will be watching, as I will be watching the Terps on Saturday for my 49th birthday. Big week around here. We got a new cat. Big thanks to everybody out at Be More Humane for the love and our beautiful new kitty, Nala. She is outstanding. You can check her out on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. She's fun to post pictures of. It's my birthday week. And then, of course, next week I go into the Dundalk High Hall of Fame. So next Friday shall be sacred here. It will be Dundalk Appreciation Day on the 20th of October as they put me probably unrightfully into the Dundalk High Hall of Fame. All for publicity. You know how it goes here in America these days. They'll let anybody in. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.